If you can't stop getting defensive with your wife or your girlfriend, it's not because you lack discipline or willpower. Whether you're trying to just stay calm or you're trying to implement some communication technique you learned, there's a reason why it's not working. And if you don't understand the real cause for why you're getting defensive in the first place, then you're going to end up wasting a lot of time and energy on tactics that have no chance of actually working. The first thing you have to understand about defensiveness is that it's an automatic, instantaneous, defensive response to protect you from some sort of perceived danger or threat. And if there's no physical danger, it means the threat is emotional, that your system is responding to some threat of emotional pain. And defensiveness comes in to protect you from it so you don't have to feel that pain. And oftentimes you don't even have to recognize that there's even a pain underneath. I'm Noah Elkrief, and I've been coaching smart analytical men for over 15 years. And in this video, I'm going to talk about 3 of the causes for why we get defensive and 5 ways defensiveness shows up to try to protect ourselves from the emotional threat. So the first cause starts with when she complains to you or criticizes you. Maybe she says, "You never listen to me," or "You're always on your phone," or "You never prioritize me." And basically what she's saying is, you did something bad. And what happens in you when she says you did something bad? All of a sudden it feels like a threat. And the threat is to have to feel the shame of "I am bad." That basically when she says you did something bad, if we're looking for our identity around how good of a partner we are, then if I did something bad, maybe it means I am bad, and then that's a danger. We don't want to feel the pain of the shame of "I am bad." Whereas, for example, if she said, "You were bad at bowling last night," if we don't look for our identity through our bowling performance, then it doesn't hit a deep shame, and then we don't need to protect it with defensiveness. The second cause comes when she expresses her unhappiness. So if she says, "I feel alone in the relationship," or "I feel disconnected from you," or "I feel sad that we're not spending so much time together," when she says she's unhappy, you can automatically get defensive. And it's because what it's basically how we interpret it is, if she's unhappy, it means I'm doing something not well enough. I'm not performing well enough. If I was performing well enough, she would be happy. And if I look for my identity through how well I'm performing in my relationship, then the "I'm not enough" has the threat of hitting I'm a failure as a partner, the feeling of shame or inadequacy that I'm not a good enough partner. And if we're scared to feel that pain, then we're going to get defensive to protect ourselves from it. Yeah. The third cause happens when our wife expresses a desire. Maybe she says, "I want to spend more quality time together," or "I want to have more affection," or "I want us to talk more," or something. If she shares something she wants more of, it can once again feel like a threat. And we might not know why we're getting defensive. She's just expressing a desire. But basically what we hear is, if she desires more of something, it means I'm not giving her enough of something. And if I'm not giving her enough, it means I'm not performing well enough. And if I'm not performing well enough, it means I'm not good enough, because I look for my identity, my self-worth from how I'm performing as a partner. And if that's a threat, we have to get defensive. So those are the 3 main initiating causes, but also an additional layer on top of that, or an additional threat, is if I'm not performing well enough, if she's unhappy with me, I might have to feel the terrible pain of losing her, of being rejected or abandoned by her. That if she leaves me, if she doesn't want me, it's going to be a really horrible pain of rejection or abandonment. And if we're scared to feel that, it can really hit this automatic defensiveness to protect ourselves from the possibility of feeling it. And what we do to avoid these pains. So for most men, when we get defensive, we're not first feeling the shame. We don't even know there's shame there. The whole point of getting defensive and having this protective response is it happens so quickly. We don't have to acknowledge there's a threat of shame. We don't have to acknowledge there's a threat of inadequacy or rejection or abandonment. It's just like completely instantaneous. So what we'll notice instead is one of these 5 things. And what they are is the different types of ways we protect ourselves from the threat of pain. And that is, the first one is we try to discredit her, right? So if she's telling us we're bad, if we can discredit the source of information, then it doesn't mean I'm bad or I did something bad. So we might say, you're too dramatic, or you're too sensitive, or you're crazy. I think it might not say it. And basically that means she's a poor source of information, so I'm not bad. The next thing we might do is, not that we're going to do all of them at the same time, but depending on the situation, is we're going to try to prove her wrong. Yeah, I didn't do that. It's not true. That's not what happened. So in this case, we're trying to disprove that I did something bad. Yeah. The third defensive approach is try to convince her that we are good. So not specifically about the situation, but she might say, you never listened to me, or I'm sad that you didn't show up today. And we might respond with, but I do so much for you, and I'm always there for you, and I contribute to your life in so many different ways. And basically what this is trying to do is just say, I'm a good partner. You know, you should love me. You should view me highly because I'm doing so much. So it's basically trying to pretend, that whatever she's upset about is nothing or small or insignificant because I do so many other big things, right? The fourth way that we can try to protect ourselves is by turning it back on her. So if she says, I don't like how you just spoke to me, we might say, you just spoke to me the same way 10 minutes ago. Or you do that to me all the time. And basically it does 2 things when we turn it back on her. One, if she did the same bad thing, then I'm not worse than her. So I'm not bad in comparison. And the other thing is it's kind of like a sleight of hand. If we're focusing on how bad she is, we don't have to feel and really acknowledge how bad what I just did was. And the fifth and final way that we can defend ourselves is to justify what we did, to give some sort of excuse. So if she's like, you're not paying attention to me, then we might say, do you know how stressed I was all day? Like I've been doing all of this and I've been doing all of that. And yeah, but that happened to me before. So instead of acknowledging that how we're treating her isn't nice or she's not happy or something like that, we say it basically we're trying to convince ourselves and her that what we did is acceptable because of something else that's going on in our life, right? So I hope that understanding a deeper layer of why you get defensive and why it helps to get defensive is insightful for you. And the next step, of course, is to watch my next video, which is how to stop getting defensive. Not how to manage the defensiveness, not a tactic to deal with it in the moment, but to actually unravel the roots of it so you stop getting defensive naturally in the situations that used to cause you to be defensive. And if you want, you can also check out my relationship course for smart analytical men, which will help you with 21 of the most common automatic responses men have in relationships. So hope to see you soon.